Hello, everybody. Hey, welcome in to the OnlyBets Sports Betting Podcast alongside my co-host Turn Bets. I am Prince of Picks. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We have got an excellent show lined up for you guys today. Where we will be covering the sports landscape. We got a few matches taking place in soccer. Actually, it's kind of a lighter day in soccer, but we also have matches taking place, or games, I should say, in the NBA, college basketball, of course, the NHL. And of course, today is going to be a special podcast as we will be covering the Super Bowl. Coming up this Sunday night, we're going to give you our best bets, our best angles. We have a special guest speaker that's going to be joining us here pretty soon to break down everything that you will need to know about the Super Bowl from a betting angle to an entertainment angle and everything in between. So get ready for that. Really excited to get into that. But before we get into the picks here, let's get into some official business. If you guys can, real quick, give us a rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast over on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. It does wonders for the show. You guys have been awesome with your support. The downloads have been incredible, so we greatly appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us. If you can continue to do that, we will continue to do our best to give you guys winning picks every single show. With that being said, can't think of a better way to start this show than to pass it over to my co-host, Mr. Stern Bets, Mr. Bush. What up, dude?
Hey, man. Yeah, we're having a great day right now. I'm really excited to bring in Pro Football Picks. I've been following his stuff on Substack for quite a while. He has some awesome content, so I'm excited to hear, A, how he sounds in real life, and B, what he kind of brings to the table in the podcast and the show. And obviously, we have Drew, who I think he had his first losing streak since we started this show. He has been incredible. Just to recap real quickly, I went 2-0. Cavaliers absolutely demolished. That wasn't even a close game. Thank you for texting with me the night before when I was trying to figure out what direction I wanted to go in the NBA with the crazy chaos, which we will definitely get to. And the Oilers and the Flames went over 6.5. The Oilers were upset, but I mentioned it yesterday. You know, if you have shaky defense, I don't care how good your offense is, you're going to be in trouble. And if you have a good offense, then the over is definitely the way you want to go. But anyway, yeah, bring us in. What do we want to talk about first? Do we want to talk about the trades that are going along, the signings that are going on in baseball? There's so much to get to. Or should we just break down football first and then move through it as we go? Because you know what I mean? Those NBA trades might not be done by the time we're done our podcast.
No, I don't think they will be. I mean, there's trades trickling in right now as we speak. They're kind of lower. How should I say? Not big name trades, so nothing really worth talking about right now. But there's definitely been some significant trades over the last 48 hours that we will get into at some point. I don't know. We were talking about it earlier. We might do maybe a special podcast just to cover kind of our reaction over the NBA trade deadline. So stay tuned for that. Either that'll be in a podcast form, or we might just write an article about it. So we'll see on that. But we kind of want to keep this podcast a little bit more Super Bowl centric. So we'll kind of rip through our plays here for other sports, but we'll try to leave more of the time here to get into the Super Bowl, as is by far it's the biggest sporting event coming up. So for me, I'll just go ahead and get us started here in the NBA. I only got a couple picks here on the hardwood court tonight, so we'll go ahead and rip into it. We got a 7:30 p.m. Eastern tip tonight where the Chicago Bulls are going to be heading up north, taking on the Toronto Raptors. For this one here, we got the injury report. Giddey out, Zach Collins out, and Trey Jones questionable for the Bulls. For the Raptors, we don't have the injury report as of this podcast. But for me, it doesn't matter. This is an absolute fade of the Bulls right now. This is a Bulls team that has basically traded away their entire team. You have at least 50% of the roster is completely new. Half of them probably haven't even shown up yet. I think you might see maybe a 2-man, 3-man bench here at most for the Bulls. I expect them to be very depleted, very light in terms of their roster. And not to mention, they have absolutely no bigs on this team. This team is completely guard heavy and forward heavy. You got 5 guards on the team, 4 forwards, and 1 center, that center being Jalen Smith. So Jalen Smith, not really a rim protector, not a great defender himself. He has his moments, but he's not very consistent. So I think this is just this is going to be a free run to the rim here for the Raptors at any given point. They'll be able to get anything they want interior. The Bulls are just going to be, until they get some of their players that they traded for, I think the Bulls are going to be in a world of trouble, specifically tonight. So give me the Raptors here. I will lay the 8.5 points with Toronto against the Bulls. Before I get to my next one, Stern, did you have any thoughts on that one at all?
No, I think that's absolutely the right move, though. I was looking to take the spread or to maybe take the money line in a parlay piece, but I'm definitely on the Toronto side of things here, and I'm going to be playing the 8.5 as soon as we end the show here.
Awesome. All right, cool. Then let's go ahead and get to my final play for the NBA tonight. We have a 10 p.m. Eastern tip where the Golden State Warriors are going to be headed down to the Valley taking on the Phoenix Suns. Looking at the injury report here for the Warriors, Steph Curry out, Jimmy Butler, of course, out for the season. And then Buddy Hield has been traded as well as Trace Jackson Davis. So the Warriors, without some of their depth here, already depleted. Now without two more of their players. Kaminga was also traded, but he wasn't getting any time anyway, so we're not going to really consider him as really any kind of integral part of this trade. However, Phoenix on the other side here, Booker is out, but Jalen Green is questionable. So that could be a big deal for the Suns either way here. Again, I think this is a smash spot for the Suns against a depleted Warriors team, already struggling without Curry and Butler, now without more of their depth until their new players come in. They did get Kristaps Porzingis, so I think that will help them down the stretch here, but he's not going to be playing tonight. So we're looking at the Suns here. They are a league best 71% ATS at home. So they have been absolutely dominant covering the spread down in the Valley. We're also looking at the Suns here as a top three defensive team at home, allowing the third fewest points to opponents. So you have a Warriors team without much offense. I think they're going to struggle to score the basketball tonight. I also like the Warriors team total under. But for me, officially, it's going to be Suns minus 5.5. I got this at 5.5 at minus 110. It's since gone up to 6.5. I would take it probably all the way up to maybe 7.5. After that, if it got anything bigger than that, I'd probably look more towards team totals and game totals unders. But that's going to be my play for that. Stern, before I get to you, let me let me go and introduce Drew here. Drew is kind of our Warriors expert insider, if you will. So, Drew, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in again. And do you have any thoughts on this game at all?
Yeah, for sure. And something I will say is I'll really quick, I know we'll talk about this later, but this kind of involves this game. I was a Warriors fan. I'm actually happy with the trade because, like I see other people, like talk about like, oh, Porzingis is hurt all the time and stuff, but it doesn't matter because Buddy Hield actually was coming out of the rotation. He wasn't playing when Curry was playing anyways. Kaminga never played. And I'll take Porzingis when Porzingis is, healthy. He's great with Draymond and stuff like that. But like you said, he's not playing today. Personally, if I had to pick anything, they're coming to where I live now. I am not able to go to the game, unfortunately, at 8 p.m. But something I would say that I like in this game is actually dropping. I like this game under 215.5 a lot because personally, the Suns like playing a more physical style game. And the Warriors, without Curry, they're either on or off. But something they do well, the Warriors, I've noticed though, even with or without Curry, is they grind games out. They like account for usually like low scoring games because even if you look at their like last game against the Sixers, right? Even though they lost against the Sixers and the Sixers were on a streak, that game was like 113 and 94. Like they held the Sixers to pretty good discrepancy there. Like we've seen them play like the Timberwolves like earlier this year. It was like 108-83, and then they beat them like 111-85. It's just when they face teams like this that are gritty teams, the game is usually under 200 points.
Yeah, I agree totally with you. I think for me, I think it's kind of correlated with the Suns on the 5.5. I do think I don't see it being a high scoring game. Warriors are definitely an unders team. To your point, I mean they play defense. Kerr's always got them playing defense hard. So one thing you got to keep in mind though is Draymond going to be there? Now he's definitely in these trade rumors. We got a few hours left to see what happens, but is he going to be there tonight? That could also make an impact on the defensive side for the Warriors. Not so much offensively, but in any case, yeah. For me, either way, if you want to take the under, that's fine with me. I'm perfectly fine with that. But in any case, I'd struggle to see how the Warriors score the basketball
Oh
tonight.
no,
You
I
know what I mean?
agree.
And Suns are one of the slower paced play teams as well. So they don't typically like to run up and down the court. They're much more comfortable playing in the half court, which is usually more suitable to unders. Stern, did you have any thoughts on this one?
No, just that you can get the minus 5.5 at minus 120 over on MGM right now, which is where I just took it.
Okay,
So
great. Yeah.
definitely still available on the market.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been bouncing back and forth, 6.5, 5.5. So, like I said, either way, I like that play a lot. Stern, let me pass it over to you. What else do you have for us for today?
Yeah, I'll get into my pick on the ice. We'll get to Drew's pick or picks really quickly, and then I just want to dive into the NFL. I really want to break down the Super Bowl. This is such an exciting time of the year where a lot of sports kind of converge. But give me the Penguins and Sabres over 6.5 at -114 over on FanDuel. I took this last night. I forgot to send it out to my premium subscribers, which you can always subscribe to my articles over on Substack to get a preview of what I will be playing the day ahead. I just simply think that this is an over game. Both teams have had 3 of their last 5 games sailing over the total. Both of these teams are coming off losses and are going to be motivated to be playing. This is the last game before the break, where we're going to have 3 weeks of just Olympic hockey, which is not bad to dive into, but not something that I've necessarily felt comfortable placing bets on in the past, but maybe we will this year. So I really think that Buffalo and Pittsburgh are both due for regression games from their goalies coming out tonight, and the overall direction of these offenses is going up. So I don't want to pick a side. I'm just going to pick goals, just like we did yesterday, and hopefully we get that cash going. I don't really have anything else. I really didn't want to dive into the NBA. There was just so much variance, and I'm going to trust you for your picks. But Drew, why don't you give us really quick your college basketball plays, and then we'll just focus in the rest of the show on the NFL. And then at the end, we'll go through signings and the MLB. We'll go through trades in the NBA. We can even go through trades in the NHL before that was over. Hit us, Drew. What do you got for us?
So something I will say, the NBA, if I had to bet one game, or the most comfortable one would be with you. I really like the Wizards plus 15.5 over the Pistons. I'll just say that real quick. Um, I don't know if you guys won't have a quick take on that. That was one thing I was going to mention.
For me, not really. I kind of, I think I'm on the. I gotta see here. I actually forgot what I'm on for that game. What am I on? I'm on the Pistons team total over 120, but Cade Cunningham is questionable. So that's kind of,
That's one of the
yeah, it's kind of
reasons.
throwing a little wrench in it for me. I wonder without him, do
The
they?
Wizards are a tough team.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the thing. So, definitely, that's my of the 8 game slate. That's the one I'm most on the fence about.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I'll go into college basketball. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday. College basketball was one of the craziest days you'll see. Unfortunately, New Mexico lost their first game in 23 straight games. BYU was up by 5 beginning of the half. Like they stormed back and then they led and then they lost to Oklahoma State. Michigan State lost at Minnesota. We saw Gonzaga's 21.5 point favorites lose at Portland, right? Like, and it was just an overall like mess in college basketball. Everyone was just losing money left and right with that. It was just one of those unfortunate things. Santa Clara took care of business, but unfortunately, it was late with BYU. But today we have some good games on the slate. I would say I was looking at the Memphis at UAB game. I kind of do like Memphis in that spot. It's funny, UAB. I don't think you guys ever heard of this probably, but UAB is 5-0 on the road in conference play, but they're 0-4 at home. Right? Like that's just the craziest thing I ever heard. And I yes, they faced all tier 1 teams at home, like Wichita State. I believe it was USF, and other teams as well. I think like FAU and stuff like that. But something with Memphis is we've always known Memphis as an at large team, and Memphis is one of those things where like they need to win this game. They always try to stack up big non-conference and expect to win the conference, but they're 5-4 in conference. They just lost to Tulane at home. And I kind of like them. This is a game I'm going to decide when I do more research. My research says that Memphis should be favored, and there's like 6 points of value. But I would say the one pick I'm confident in, and this is a big spread, so look for personally a cash out. I don't want to do first half spread for this because I want to see how Michigan comes out. But Michigan, so Penn State at Michigan is -24.5. I know it's big, and the first game they played was at Penn State and they only won by 2. But Penn State since then has not really been, has not really been good at all. If you like look at them, especially on the road, they do play top teams very tough. But on the road, they lost to Northwestern by 21. They lost to Maryland by 23. They've also lost at home to Wisconsin recently by 27. And just personally, though, I saw a great example. Illinois went to Northwestern about a few weeks ago, and they only won by like 8 points. And then they just played Northwestern yesterday in a 15-point spread, and they won by 40 points. I just think this is it sounds crazy for a 1-10 conference team, but this is a letdown spot for Penn State after beating Minnesota, which I was very surprised they actually beat Minnesota. But I expect Michigan to just absolutely destroy Penn State on the 24 and a half. I would say, of course, when Michigan goes up by 30, look for like possibly a 90% cash out, like some kind of hedge. But I think Michigan wins by 40 to 50 points in this game.
Nice, man. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And getting those cash outs are very important. One note from one of the games that you mentioned, I have the under in that Memphis game. I think it was minus 150, over under 154. I think I got this over FanDuel.
Great.
Yeah, under 154 and a half Memphis at UAB for at minus 110 juice. I really like that play.
I like that play because Memphis is a very good defensive team, and UAB can play fast and stuff, but they're also a lot smaller than Memphis. And I can see points at a premium. Like we've seen games where Memphis won in the 50s and they lost in like the 40s barely. Like this Memphis team is a very weird team, and I thought that 154 was way too high. Like I do not see a
Like
70 to 80
way too
game.
high. I would
Yeah,
say
70
like by
80
at least
game.
8 or 10 points.
Yeah, I honestly might do something like that too. Like you just said, that was a good suggestion.
All right, what else you got for us before we head into the Super Bowl?
No, I would say I liked your over for the hockey. I might have to tail that.
You got to tail
But
that. You know who else is on that over? And I'm really happy that I saw this morning because we have not been necessarily on the same page every single day. Squishy's on that over. So I saw that this morning in my on my Twitter feed, and I was like, yeah, all right. At least we're on the same page today.
By the way, real quick, guys, just a quick injury update. Trey Jones for the Bulls, he was questionable. He has just been listed as out for the Bulls tonight, so that's another player that's going to be without. So even more of a reason to fade the Bulls. I don't even know who's going to be playing point guard tonight for them. They got rid of Desumi, they got rid of Kobe White. Giddy's out. Trey Jones is out. It's a complete green light for the Raptors for me.
If you, by the way, know who is playing point guard, let me know so that I can plug them into DFS tonight.
Absolutely, I'm going to take a look right now.
All right, Drew. Anything else for us before we head on and introduce Pro Football Picks?
no, I mean the only thing is I'm looking forward to tomorrow for college basketball. We have some really good top tier conference matchups.
Yeah. Fridays are usually the game of the week type of matchups, and I'm looking forward to it and getting into it for tonight. I didn't have so much time because I was researching the Super Bowl, and I'm just gonna say, hey, welcome in Pro Football Picks. You want to introduce yourself? Tell us what your platform is. How do we follow you? How do we find you? And then I have one point to make about the New England Patriots at being underdogs in the Super Bowl, and then we can just kind of move forward from there. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Hey, Mosh, thanks so much for having me on. I'm really glad to be here. I've been watching your stuff on Substack as well. Great that we finally got to connect here. My name's Frank. I big football fan my whole life. Last few years, I've been putting together these different predictions. We're at 80%. All of our stuff is on Substack. You can see all our picks. This is actually our 10th anniversary season, so you can see all 10 years of our history on Substack. So you can verify that we're not just making these numbers up. That's where we post everything. You can catch us on Twitter at Pro Football Picks. We spell picks kind of a cute way, PIKS at the end. Those are the two primary places. We're also on Reddit, same handle. If you're on Reddit, we post some things there as well. I've been a huge football fan my whole life. Sports gambling is kind of a new thing in the world a little bit, maybe the last 5-10 years. During the regular season, we put out 3 best bets every week. That's where our 80% mark comes from. We also pick every game throughout the playoffs, and we're a little below 80%, but it's a small sample size, to be fair. And we're ready to talk about the Super Bowl. Our game pick is for the premium subscribers, and that does come out tonight. So I'll say a few things about the game, but I got to add a deference to them. And if you're not if you want to see what it is, we encourage you to go on Substack and subscribe. The Super Bowl edition is only $8. If you're betting more than $8, it's worth an investment to have some intel from us. We run a 20-factor model that looks at every NFL team, and it has some pretty good results. But if you want to talk a little bit about the game first and talk about some of our prop bets, maybe we can start there.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's one point that I wanted to put out for this game because I know that Seattle is favored right now. The money line is around -230. The spread is at -4.5, which is a huge spread for the Super Bowl. Honestly, for any expected close game. But something to note here: this is the 12th Super Bowl that the Patriots are going to be in, and another stat. Underdogs getting more than a field goal have covered in the last 7 straight Super Bowls, winning 5 of those 7 games outright. That is just an insane stat. Also to note, most blowouts have come from the underdog, not the favorite.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, I'm glad you said all that. I've hated this number since the day it got posted. I don't like to say it that way, but honestly, some spreads I look at, I go, "Ooh, that really looks interesting." I don't like this number. The one thing I would say, if you agree with me on that, is the nice thing about this little app draft world, app betting world we live in is, you know what? If you don't like the spread, they're pretty flexible about giving you another spread that you like better. But I'm not in love with that 4.5 number. The one thing I'll say about the game, and this isn't in our premium stuff. I do like the under in this game on the 45.5. These teams are both stacked defensively. They're both top 10 defenses, and neither one of these teams turn the ball over. So you don't get a lot of mistakes. They play solid special teams on both sides of the ball. So I think if you're really, that's a number I think I find interesting, that 45.5, because I think this is going to be a lower scoring game.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. The red zone conversions against both of these teams are pretty solid. Seattle ranks 5th in opponents' red zone scoring, and while the Patriots overall for the season have ranked 23rd with a 60% conversion rate, they have done incredibly well in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So that number may be a little misleading, and I think we do see some tough football once they come into the red zone. And something else to know on this point, the Patriots field goal percentage isn't great. They're ranked 24th at 81.5% conversion rate, but the Seattle's also ranked 14th in field goal percentage. So this is going to be an interesting one, and whoever can move the ball down the field and kick field goals is probably going to be the winner here. I absolutely love the under. I'm going to be looking to correlate that maybe with an exaggerated Patriots spread for a nice little parlay payout sprinkle. I was doing that a few weeks ago. I've kind of laid off in the last few weeks, but I think that might be making a return for the Super Bowl.
Well, the good news is it's not going to be a snowstorm kind of thing where the kickers can't see the uprights and the coaches are too scared to let them walk out and try a field goal. So, the San Francisco weather should be agreeable in that regard.
Oh, yeah. I will say, to your point, the New England has been playing some brutal games, and a rookie kicker in some of these high-intensity situations with the bad weather combined may lead to some of those stats that I just stated over there. But we're going to have good weather. There shouldn't be any problems in visibility. This could be a really, really, really good fun one. Why don't you bring us into the quarterbacks? You mentioned that Sam Darnold, right, or Seattle is not turnover prone, but we know Sam Darnold is turnover prone. Can you explain what happened this season? What's the turnaround? Can we expect to see him play the ball safely? Is New England going to be able to get pass rush on him?
All right, so let me just give it a caveat before I say one word about Sam Darnold. People who read my stuff know, and we get lots of nice, fun comments. I'm a Jets fan, and insert joke here. And so I have a long history with Sam. I will say that, this is a very different quarterback than the one that used to play for the Jets. This guy has matured a lot. I think to be particularly the years he was in San Francisco under that system, even though he wasn't the primary, he learned quite a bit. He throws picks here and there. There was some problems towards the end of the Vikings. But he's on a much better team now than I think he was last year. He's got, so many different weapons, particularly a great running game that I think, very quietly makes a quarterback look a lot better because the defense has to respect Walker back there. But Sam has been pretty stable in this Seattle incarnation, and he's played some tough competition. I mean, how many quarterbacks had to face the Rams 3 times this year and beat them twice?
Yeah, and the Rams, I know that they fell off towards the end there, but they were the second best defense for the majority of the season.
Yeah.
Like, that's no small feat right there.
And I think you have to even give him some more props because they saw him 3 times, right? And that's very rare. And he wasn't going to fool anybody in that championship game. He had to beat them straight up. Look, on the other side of the ball, we could talk about May, inexperience, certainly. I mean, second year in a Super Bowl, that's obviously got to make people nervous, but he has been, and then I have to keep the Jet fan voice in my head a little in bay here because I'm not a fan that way, but I check that at the door when I do this. He really does play mistake-free football as well. He doesn't get caught in those situations that a young quarterback just tries to force the ball. He has that sense of just, when do I throw it away? When do I run? And he actually makes some nice runs as well. Drake May. I mean, we have him on our one of our prop bets for getting over yards as well, because he's a decent runner, and that also helps him, especially as a young quarterback who's on a team with a lot of new players, young players, some free agents mixed in. But I think that's been a lot of part of his success as well.
Yeah. Actually, to your point, I wanted to point out something. I have it here in my notes. Drake May, while in the regular season, was very, very, very good and careful about holding the ball. I think Mike Vrabel and coaching staff has done a really good job at scripting plays for him not to have to throw the ball as much as like Sam Darnold, for instance, who is just a gunslinger, as we kind of mentioned here. Something to note, though. I kind of feel like Drake May is either going to have 70 rushing yards or 10 rushing yards. And I say 10 specifically because that's the exact amount of rushing yards that he had against Houston. And Houston's defense and Seattle's defense actually mirror each other very, very closely. There's no mistake that they are number 1 and number 2 in the league in points against per game. I do like him. There is definitely a world where he uses his legs and gets 76 rushing yards again. But there is just a caveat there that if he doesn't find lanes, or if he finds success through the air and doesn't need to use his legs, there are scenarios where he won't run. He won't force it. And I think that's a big part of the game plan, which is don't force things. Just play it out, Yeah,
I think that'll come down to how well the Patriots protect him. The Patriots, I'm not a fan of the whole strength of schedule statistics. That I don't find they work very well. We've even done some correlation research on that where it doesn't work well at all. But this Seattle defense is not like some of the defenses that he's faced, and they really do get after quarterbacks. So I think that will be the interesting point of when the pressure comes. Seems like May's pretty good about knowing when to just run away, not make a bad play, not take a bad sack. So that'll be the interesting part, is how well can the Patriots offensive line keep this Seattle defense in check?
Yeah, and something to note here is Seattle gets pressure just with their front four.
Yep.
They don't need to send the blitz. They are excellent at disguising their coverages, taking away the slants and the zones, and taking away the soft coverage, and just forcing the opposing QB, to dink and dunk down the field. And if you can't do that consistently, you're not going to have success against the Seattle defense.
Yeah,
they are.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was like, they don't blitz, but they get sacks and they get after quarterbacks, and that's exactly the magic of this defense. Really, when you get right down to it, is they're in the backfield, tackling running backs, tackling quarterbacks, but they're rushing 4 linemen and everybody else is back in coverage.
And the number one stat that really underscores this is they have the number 1 defense on third downs, the lowest opposing conversion rate, which is just an incredible stat, which really just means that they are pedal to the metal when it comes down, and then they figure out how to shut you down. They either disguise a look or they just force people to feel uncomfortable enough to not make that nice little dink and dunk pass that we have seen success from. I mean, that's what the Rams are known for, and they were able to shut them down. So I'm going to be very interested to see how New England kind of combats that.
Yeah, I hate to say this is going to be a letdown, but I really felt like that Rams-Seattle game was the Super Bowl. I hope this game can live up to that in terms of just entertainment. And you got to thank the Seahawks and Rams. They gave us 3 of probably the most entertaining games this entire season because they really matched up really well against each other.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable game. That was a lot of fun. Honestly, I think we've been treated to one of the best playoff performances in recent memory. This year has been just incredible, and hopefully I honestly do think that the defensive capabilities of both teams will keep this game in check, where we will see a close, hard-fought game like we used to see back in the day, where people are just going to start running the ball. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about where Seattle can struggle a little bit. We've talked about maybe some of the pitfalls on the New England side. How can New England have success facing this incredible Seattle offensive attack?
Stop the run. Because if you take that away from Seattle and you put it all on Sam Darnold is a good quarterback and he plays well, but defenses have to respect that running game. And that always is what I think sets it up nicely for him. I think if the Patriots can shut down and the Patriots, this Patriot team, it's funny with Vrabel, they have a lot of, they sort of echo the Belichick era. They always look for that way to take that one player and say, this guy's not going to beat us. And maybe it's Walker, maybe it's Smith, right? I'm not Mike Vrabel. I'm not in his head. If he wants to give me a call, I'd happy to give him my advice. But they're going to go out of their way to take one of those two completely out of the game. But but I really do think it's Walker, because if Seattle can start running the ball, this game might not be so close. Because they'll wear the Patriots defense out, and this is what Seattle does, and then they will light you up with the passing game. But that's my if I were the Patriots defensive coordinator, I would be really focused on how we keep Seattle in 3rd and 9 and longer, and second and like that 1st and 2nd down. They can't get those 5 to 7 yard runs, because that's what I think really sets the whole thing up.
100%. And honestly, they brought in some really nice talent. They have Kupp. They have what's his name? AJ Barner, Rashid Shaheed. They have some real explosive options outside of JSN that they can definitely go to if Kenneth Walker starts getting some success on the ground. And you saw him last week against a really good Rams team, that he is able to just shove his way through the line. I mean, the Seattle offensive line, I don't think he was touched within a foot of the line of scrimmage. Like they were doing such an incredible job at moving him through. And what's going to be interesting, the matchup, the marquee matchup on New England's defense is Christian Gonzalez covering JSN. How good is he really? Can he handle JSN? JSN is one of the premier talents in the entire football league. And I think it's going to be very interesting. And if Christian Gonzalez can handle JSN, then they will be able to stack the box and stop the run. But if he can't, they're going to need to bracket him, which, as we know, it's Vrabel and the Belichick way, where they will take away your best option. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this game starts, and definitely some live betting opportunities, depending on who's covering, if they're stacking the box. Like, what strategy is New England going to use, to your point? Are they going to stack the box, or are they going to take away, are they going to bracket JSN? Either way.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And, little news, it's a little bit flipping the thing around, but the Seahawks did have possibly a key injury yesterday in practice. Nick Manowari suffered an ankle injury in practice. He's their nickelback. Could make things interesting in terms of the Patriots.
Oh, that's huge.
Adam Schefter just popped out with a post on that. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. All of a sudden, if he's going to be out.
Yeah, that is a huge part in the Seattle's game plan, both of these defenses' game plan, which is their excellence in preventing long plays. They are great at making the offense play small ball. Don't let up the big plays, and missing that the nickelback there, it might hurt their chances to kind of like keep someone like Stephon Diggs in check, or somebody like just trying to make sure that you're not going to be giving up the things in the middle of the field or too long of a play where you're really going to have to play catch up. Because if either of these teams go up, they're going to play bully ball.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the player, actually, if we want to shift to the prop bet gear a little here, to think about if he's really out is the Patriots tight end, Hunter Henry. Because if the middle of the field starts to open up for him, that might be interesting.
Yeah, and honestly, the way that Seattle plays defense, Hunter Henry is a fantastic look anyway. He gets into the soft coverage and zone, and he knows where to get the ball. And someone like Drake May, who's going to be looking for his veteran tight end, that is just such a classic game script that you can count on. And if you go back, most Super Bowls, I really wish I brought these stats to the show. They rely on their big tight end a lot.
It's funny because tight ends are so sneaky, and you don't think about them except on like National Tight End Day when they're all mic'd up. But the Super Bowl, they all seem to show up, and that's the team, the player, the fans in thinking about, the defense sometimes not thinking about. They're always looking at that star wide receiver and that they don't want to light them up. And that's where, either one of these tight ends could be interesting on any of the prop bets, really.
Yeah, and just to foreshadow a little bit, we play this game, the first touchdown scorer. And if anybody on the show, Michael, also you're listening, if you guys want to find one and bring it in, please feel free. The tight ends are very successful at getting the first touchdown in games. I have cashed numerous times on that strategy because you're right. Everybody else is guarded. You're going to take the number one receiver out, right? Sometimes it's a throw. It's a long throw. He misses it. You go under, you go under the coverage, and the tight end is just sitting there with his big body, and all he has to do is catch it in the center of his chest, and game over. You got a touchdown.
Yeah.
Oh, guys! Breaking news, by the way. Giannis is not being traded, according to the Bucks.
Oh wow!
Sorry to interrupt, but that's huge. I just got a message from ESPN.
No,
wow, that's. Well, yeah, we're definitely going to have to go after towards the end of the show. Circle back to some of these trades and signings. It's wild what's going on in the world of sports right now. But yeah, so let's talk about the rushing attacks. We talked about kind of the successive keys to each team is to limit the opposing rushing attack. How much success can we expect from each of these teams? I mean, Rahamjay Stevenson is an absolute menace, even if you stop him on the ground, which I think is actually kind of likely with Seattle's number one yards per rush defense. He gets the ball in space. He gets these little dump off passes, and he just goes for it. He is an incredible look at playing bully ball. On the other side, Kenneth Walker, we saw he can just do it on the ground. He just bashes.
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about Walker earlier, but I think I agree with you on Stevenson. I mean, I think that's another interesting one to look at his passing yards on the prop bet, because I think you're going to see, Seattle's defense, like I said, I think this is a bit tougher task than what the Patriots have seen so far, and he's going to be that check down out for Drake May to just dump the ball off to, and, those plays always seem to go not the way you expect. You see the quarterback back there, you think he's about to get sacked, he dumps it to this running back, and somehow 15 yards all of a sudden. I can imagine. I'm imagining that he's going to do pretty well in the passing game and getting passing yards along with the yak on top of it.
Yeah, and I think the opposite is also true on the Seattle side, where Holani and Walker could also have success in the passing game if they are stopped on the ground. You know what? Real quick, because we're talking bets, we haven't really gotten to one yet. My first best bet of the game, this is a half a unit play for me, is the first half total under 22.5. I think that as we're talking about game script, both teams are going to try to establish the run, successful or not. So we might see a lot of early punts, field goals, whatever it is. These teams, I don't think, are going to come alive until the second half. And I really like keeping under 3 touchdowns in the first half. This is minus 110 over on MGM right now. So I think that's a fantastic look if you don't want to necessarily test a shootout in the second half. But I do think that the under 45.5 is also an excellent look on the whole game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. These defenses, when they come out in the first half, they're going to be as fresh as they can be with a week off. In the first half, I would expect to be low scoring too. And I think that 22.5, you said 22.5, I think? That's a nice looking number there to take that under.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked to see this. I would have expected this at closer to 20.5, 21.5. But getting the full 22.5 is a really, really nice look, especially in a Super Bowl where you have 2 quarterbacks who might come out gingerly. And again, I might be wrong on this. They might come out slinging right away. But if I was to approach this, I would say limit the mistakes early, test the defenses, see what you can and can't get away with, and then in the second half, make your game plan to really finish off the game.
Yeah, I suspect this, especially the Patriots, to do that. If you look at how they approached that whole scenario late in the game against the Broncos, which was sort of the flip of this, right? Where they were just trying to make sure there was just not enough time for the Broncos to kick that field goal. And all the super conservative measures they went to of just, rolling Drake May out and intentionally throwing the ball out of bounds to just milk down the clock. I see. And now that's not what they're going to do in the first half, but I think that's just a continuation of the safe play they're going to go with, especially the Patriots game plan in the beginning of the game. I might think that the Seahawks might surprise us there a little, because the Seahawks are ones that, don't be shocked.
Yeah, and
honestly, what they might pull.
I mean, we've seen them go down the field and score a touchdown right away, and then kind of ease into it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went and they scored a touchdown to start the game. But I still like the under there. And if that happens live, definitely play the under live, because you can probably get under 25 or 26.5 if the first few plays end up in a touchdown, because the books are going to react drastically. There's a lot of public money on it. People like overs. So if you have a good opportunity to play an under, take it live. And again, bet responsibly. I'm not saying to put everything on it, but I think that's an excellent look and definitely a real world scenario that we can see this coming Sunday.
Yeah, and to that point, I'd be cautious. I know the anytime touchdowns, and I know we're going to talk about maybe a few fun ones of those in a sec, but be cautious with your touchdown bets in this Super Bowl, because we're sitting here saying take the under in the first half, take the under in the game. Well, if you got 7 guys scoring touchdowns and you're taking a 45 under, the math's not going to work out very well. So just do, as you look across your whole set of bets for this game, just be conservative with the number of players you've got scoring touchdowns if you believe in this theory that we're talking about the unders in that first half of the game.
Yeah. And to your point also, if you think that there's going to be a high-scoring touchdown game or a high-scoring game, I would kind of rely on your big targets like JSN to maybe get 2+ touchdowns. And if he gets 2+ touchdowns, you might as well sprinkle on him for MVP at +700.
I actually I have some takes on the game too, if you don't mind.
Go for it, bro.
Oh yeah. So something I will say, being familiar with the Bay Area and all that, I have like family there and stuff like that. Of course, they say San Francisco, the game's in Santa Clara, which is like an hour and a half to 2 hours away. And Santa Clara is kind of closer to the Bay. But the weather there, from what I was hearing from my buddies back home, it's gonna be like 50s or something and cloudy. and some with somebody, but they said that there might be rain right when the Super Bowl starts. Like it was like a 22. Usually in the Bay Area, I've learned when there's a 20 to 30% chance of rain, that means it's going to rain. Usually, so we might see some rain in the game. I want to be honest, and when it rains there, it stays for a while. So I would say definitely look out for that per se. And another thing I will mention is something I really like in this game too as well. Both teams actually have been pretty stingy against tight ends for touchdowns. The Patriots have allowed 19 receiver touchdowns this year, which is like the third most. The Seahawks, when they allow touchdowns, is to receivers. I would definitely say a really good sleeper first touchdown pick would be Cooper Cup at plus 1400, because the one thing the Patriots allow a lot of is like receiver touchdowns. So that's
Yeah,
something I will
that's
say.
a great look, and we're going to go into a segment where we all put out our first touchdown scores, and I definitely want you to bring it up there because I think that's an excellent look. That is someone that I considered as well. That is really good analysis on that front. But yeah, let's continue breaking down what the keys to the game are for each team. Let's go with Seattle. What's their keys to the game to win this one?
Well, obviously both teams turnovers always seem to win the day. And I think I said at the beginning, the interesting thing here is you got two teams here that don't turn the ball over very much, and their defenses create turnovers. So, number one on my list of every team of all 32 teams in any scenario is win the turnover battle. Outside of that, I think, Seattle established the run. Because that will open up everything for them. And that's where I say, Seattle might not be in first gear in this game for too long. If you script Walker on, 3 out of the first 7 plays and he pops those for 7 to 15 yards, suddenly the Patriots are all going to be back on their heels. So those are for the Seattle, I would absolutely say just win the turnover battle, establish the run. Then I think they start to roll downhill in this game.
Yeah, and basically what you just said is Sam Darnold, clean pocket versus pressure. He is leading the league in yards per play, yards per pass, when he is kept clean. He uses that the fake handoff. Gosh, my brain's not working right now. He uses that to kind of make sure that he can get the ball down the field. And if he's kept clean, he leads the league in yards per pass and in completion percentage. But when he's under pressure, he has a 51.5% completion rate, and he has almost a 5% interception rate, which is 30th in the league. Not great. So that is definitely something that you should keep in mind. And if you see Sam Darnold under pressure and not getting his pocket clean, then I think New England has a very clear way to kind of take advantage of him. But on the New England side, how are they going to get success? What are their keys to the game? What are we looking for on their side?
Well, like I said a minute ago, every team, you got to win the turnover battle, because if you lose that, all this goes out the window. That one, I think in their case, is get Drake May, feeling like this isn't just feeling like this is a football game, because I think he's the one that, like, second year, he's been through this whole media gauntlet the last 2 weeks with everything that goes on with the Super Bowl, and he's the one who's just head-wise. You got to get him feeling like it's a normal game. And so that's really where I think also what New England scripts for their first 10 plays. And even if they end up, getting one first down and punting the ball, and just get that feel of okay, it's a football game again. Because I think those first-time players in a Super Bowl, that can really be a problem. They sort of forget, and they something has to happen on in the first quarter to just sort of hit them over the head, saying, guys, forget about all the hype. This is a football game. You've been doing this your whole life. You've been doing this, with a lot of success. Go play your game. But I think it's really important they get him in that place where he's comfortable that this is just a football game again.
Yeah, 100%. And we saw that the difference between the first two games in the postseason and the last game in the postseason, he had 4 turnovers in the first two games, and you saw him nervous. You saw him not being able to necessarily feel comfortable and feel like it's just a game. But I mean, last game in the snow, he played his lights out. Secure football.
I mean, I do think the Seattle defensive coordinators have been looking at that Texans game film quite a bit.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, they have a very similar defensive structure to the Texans. They have similar pressure rates. They have similar defensive schemes. They're really good at getting they're disguising their coverages. And yeah, that's definitely on their game plan. The other part of this that I wanted to mention is the air raid attack. The gunslinging Sam Darnold is something that they're going to have to shut down no matter what. You cannot allow a 40-plus yard catch. You can't do it. If you do that and you're playing on your heels, it's going to be extremely hard to play catch up against the Seattle team. And like you said, you need to feel like it's a competitive game for New England to kind of keep playing in this game. If they fall behind, I would be very worried about them trying to catch up. And I do not have the same worry about if Seattle falls behind to New England. I think that they can play from behind fairly well. And again, these are two incredible teams. They both only have 3 losses in the season, which is something interesting. You said you don't necessarily like strength of schedule, but the 3 losses on each team is very interesting.
It's not, you know what it is? I'm with you. They both had great seasons. It's a terrible predictor of outcomes if you go to that level of statistical wonkiness. But it doesn't mean they aren't good teams, right? It's one, they don't make schedule. But it's just the only thing I meant by that is it's not a reliable predictor of outcomes.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And we saw that with the Chargers late in that year when they went on that run. Their strength of schedule was not necessarily indicative of their actual true value of your team. And honestly, that goes back to what modern football is all about, which is, I think it was 4 out of the last 5 Super Bowl winners had the top 2 or 3 defenses in the league, is something like that, where top defenses is really what wins in November, December, and January. You can't just have good offenses. Name me, besides JSN, really, who is a top wide receiver on a good team? There's not that many. Most teams rely on insane defense to get them through the season and to win in the playoffs. But I wanted to bring in PrinceOfPicks real quick for some thoughts here. We haven't heard from him in a while, and honestly, I'm very interested to hear what he is looking forward to in this game as well, because we've been talking. You've heard him in the last few weeks, and just wanted to bring you in, man. What you got for us?
I'll be down to speak after him too, because I have some things.
Yeah, we can go forever, man. We're good.
Yeah, so definitely. So full disclosure, guys, full transparency. I would not necessarily consider myself to be an NFL capper. So I love the NFL. Watch the NFL regularly. Addicted to the Red Zone channel. I'm heavy into fantasy football. So big fan of the NFL. Maybe not so much on the capping side of things, but I will go ahead and give my analysis here. And if you guys agree with it, cool. If you don't, that's okay too. But for me, first I'll touch on Frank's point of the turnover battle being very important. All you got to look to, in my opinion, is my Chicago Bears and how many games they won this season just by winning the turnover battle. Right? They may have lost in other statistical categories, but winning that turnover battle is just such a critical,
I think they were
key
second.
Component. Second, right? So and so just winning that turnover battle is such a critical component in determining who wins and loses. So I think that's probably, when you're looking at NFL games in particular, probably the number one deciding factor. In my opinion, I don't know if it is analytically, but in any case, I think that's a great decider, I would say, in determining what the outcome of the game is going to be. For me here, pre-show here, I wrote down my favorite bet of this game to be the game total under 45.5. So I'm glad to see that we're all in agreement with that. That makes me feel a lot more better about my pick. But for in terms of the game here itself, I really struggle to take a side here. I just feel like these teams are very similar in a lot of ways. So I kind of went on a little bit of an unorthodox way to kind of determine which side I wanted to take. I went position by position and kind of you went head to head and who I would take in each position based on both teams. So again, if you want to follow this trend, cool. If not, I totally get it. But I'll go ahead and get into it. So for me, we're looking at the quarterback position, right? You got Drake May against Sam Darnold. For me personally, I think this game could come down to who makes plays at the quarterback position when the play breaks down. You got two excellent defenses here, and I do think you're going to see a lot of times the offensive plays are going to break down, and which quarterback is going to be more likely to kind of ad lib and make something out of nothing. For me, that's going to be Drake May. I think he's just a little bit more mobile than Sam Darnold, and I think when you're forcing both quarterbacks to get out of the pocket, I would expect him to make a little bit more plays than Sam Darnold. So for me, I take Drake May in that head-to-head. When we're looking at the wide receiver core here for the Patriots, of course, you got Stephon Diggs, Keyshawn Boutte, and Matt Collins. And on Seattle side, you got JSN, Cooper Kupp, and Rashid Shaheed. For this one, it's a no-brainer for me. I take Seattle's three receivers every day of the week. All of these receivers have been number ones on their team at some point. Of course, Cooper Kupp with the Rams and Rashid Shaheed down in New Orleans. So I think taking those three here to make more plays than the other three for the Patriots. Not to mention here the Seahawks trio. They come in number 2 in yards per completion during the regular season. So this is a wide receiver core that runs good routes, tends to get open, and tends to make big plays. So when you're looking at that head-to-head, I like the Seattle trio here in the wide receiver position. When we look at the running back position, you have for the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson and Trey Henderson. And of course, for Seattle, the great Ken Walker and George Holani, due to injuries here for Seattle. They're a little bit banged up at the running back position. So for me, I went more with depth of the running back position. Now, I get it. Ken Walker is a great workhorse running back, but he has been somewhat injury susceptible over the years. So if somebody goes down here, you overwork somebody, I think it's going to be very important, especially when what's expected to be a really smash mouth type of game. I think it's going to be really important to have two quality running backs. And so for me, I like Ramondre Stevenson and Trey Henderson. I like that duo a little bit better than I do Ken Walker and Holani. So I gave the edge to the Patriots in the running back position. Not to mention they do come into this one with the number 5 rushing offense in the league. And then when we're looking at tight end, we got Hunter Henry, right, going against AJ Barner. Again, in this one, I love Hunter Henry in this one. In this head-to-head matchup, I think I'll take his veteran experience here, being able to perform in a big game. He has nearly 900 yards receiving and almost 100 targets this season for the Patriots. So the Patriots love to get him involved. He's got heavy volume usage in their offense. And so for me, I'll just take him on the head-to-head in that one. And then we're looking at the defensive side, right? Patriots, Seahawks. I actually took the Seahawks in this one. I think Seattle just has a little bit better of a defensive lineup than the Patriots do. And when you're looking at this game, for me, it's an away game for both teams, right? So I look at it in that term. And the Seattle Seahawks, they come into this one with the number 1 road defense, allowing the fewest yards per game on the road. So I think Seattle here does have the better defense. Just slightly. You're splitting hairs here, but I'll take Seattle slightly ahead of New England's defense. And then finally, for me, in terms of our head-to-head matchups, head coach. Mike Vrabel against Mike McDonald. You got to go with Mike Vrabel here, right? The veteran coach here. He's been around. He's been in big games. I think he's going to have them mentally prepared. In which I think if you ask anybody who's played in the Super Bowl or any big game for that matter, probably 50% of those games are mental, right? These are games that a lot of these guys have probably never played in terms of just the level of intensity, the level of anticipation, just the whole environment and the whole circus around it. And a lot of these guys, if they're not prepared for it, they may come out flat. They may come out not ready to go. I don't think we're going to have that problem at all with Mike Vrabel. I trust him much more in that category. So when I broke it down here, in terms of those categories, I came down to Patriots 4-2 in the head-to-head in terms of those categories. So for me here, I'm actually going to go on the Patriots here. In terms of taking a side here, I'll take them on the spread for plus 4.5. And not to mention, they're 78% ATS on the road. So this is a team that doesn't seem to have a problem covering on the road. Away games don't seem to be too much of a factor for them. And it's going to be a tough one for sure. It's going to be a tight one. But those are the plays that I'm looking at personally. Again, from my standpoint. So I
Yeah,
don't know if you guys have any thoughts on
that's
that.
excellent. The New England has yet to lose on the road this season straight up, which is an incredible stat. But something about that home field advantage, they are traveling a lot further than Seattle does. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, it is a 2-week break so that they do have time to acclimate. And the one thing about what you said about Mike Vrabel making his team ready, did you hear what he said at the end? They just won the championship. You know what he said to his team? If you are
I
not
don't remember.
on that bus at 7:30 or whatever time in the morning, you are not playing in the Super Bowl. I don't care who you are.
That's awesome. That's his intensity. That's his intensity. I will say real quick, I did hear he he told a joke. I can't remember what show he was on. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll say it here. They asked him. Yeah, I guess a while ago he said he would cut his penis off if he ever won the Super Bowl. And so they asked him. They said, hey, you said this a while ago. Would you still do it? And he said, yeah. He said he would cut it off and leave 6 inches for his wife. So I just thought that was kind of funny.
All right. We
But
got to
anyway,
keep this rating G. I don't want to have our podcast flagged. Oh man, that's funny.
Hey, I love that you said smash mouth, by the way. I know that's a term that sometimes doesn't get thrown around much anymore, but that is what this matchup really is.
Yeah, I call it bully ball, but smash mouth is basically the same thing. Drew,
And sorry, I know you want to bring the other guys in. As I actually had a hard stop on this at 12:30, so I'm gonna have to jump out here.
All right, so you know what? Like, give us your first touchdown score then. Before you go, I'm sorry we went overboard.
Yeah, no worries. No, listen, it's been great being on here. I'm so glad we did this, and unfortunately, we got 7 months before a real football game after this. So hopefully, we'll talk again next fall. But
we got baseball though.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan out for the other sports. I don't think you want my cap in your
48 days, everybody. 48 days until over.
It does make you feel like winter might end someday if you guys are on the East Coast like I am, where it's frigid and snow covered. I'm going to go with AJ Barner for the first touchdown at plus 1,400. I just think, if Seattle can get down to the red zone, Sam's going to go with the safe route to the end zone. So if you like that first touchdown bet, him at plus 1,400, I think is a good payout.
I think that's an excellent look. I had AJ Barnard the other week, and I just got upset that he didn't score it, so I was off him today. You know what? But while we're on this topic, anybody else want to come in, give their first touchdown score?
Sorry, guys. I got to jump, though, but thank you so much for having me on. This is great. Love talking to you guys, and love to do this again, when we're in the end of the summer getting ready for football to start up again. I hope everybody enjoys the Super Bowl, and thanks again for having me on.
Thanks, Frank. I really appreciate it. This Pro Football Picks, spelled PIKS, over on Twitter and Substack. Go follow him. I'm going to try to see if I can subscribe to your articles because I kind of want to see your best bet in the game. If you have any leans or anything that you want to be on the recap screen, send them my way, and I'll get your name out there as well that way. But thank you again.
Thank you much, boys. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Prince of Picks, what do you got for first touchdown score? I do have some more prop leans that I want to get into before, and we'll bring in Michael as well to hear his first touchdown score. But yeah, what do you got for us, man?
Yeah, I like Hunter Henry plus 1,400. Again, I think he's going to be heavily involved here in the Patriots offense, and so getting him at a over plus 1,000 value, that's what I'm going to go with.
Nice. I think that's a really solid value. Tight ends, like we talked about. Drew, who do you got for us?
Yeah, for sure. I personally, the two I like receivers. Both teams, like I said when I did my research, both teams do well against tight ends when it comes to disallowing touchdowns. So I like Stephon Diggs, who's a primary red zone target, and then I also I like Cooper Kupp as well. We've seen what he did in his last Super Bowl, so I really like that. I think Sam Donald's going to want to trust him because Mike Vrabel's going to take away JSN. So I like those two.
Yeah, plus 1,000 or more. Cooper Kupp is definitely your man. And Michael, by the way, I did send you a request to speak if you want, or you can request to speak, and I'll approve you. I personally am on Jorge Holani. I think that the backup running back here for Seattle is probably a very likely choice. And at plus 2,800, it was definitely worth a sprinkle here. I also did use a boost on DK yesterday on Kenneth Walker because he's obviously the primary running back on that team. But I think Holani has an excellent shot. He is the third down back really for Seattle, taking over the primary blocking duties. He is a phenomenal blocker. He's in his second game back from injury. I think we're going to see him a lot more involved. He was a little bit rusty last week, but I think him getting 3+ receptions at -136 is also still a look, even though it is juicy. But yeah, hold on a second. I'm going to get Michael on here. But I think Holani is definitely the look for at plus 2,800 over on DK for the first touchdown. Hold on, inviting you to speak again. The other look that I was gonna, as I just ramble on a little bit more here, the other look that I wanted to go into, and Prince of Picks, you kind of brought this up, where you're right, Drake May definitely has the upside rushing potential over anybody, or I should say over Sam Darnold, but I do think Sam Darnold uses his legs, whether it be a kneel down, whether it be he gets trapped. I think that he gets 3+ rushing attempts, and you can get that at plus 114 over on FanDuel. Shout out to Mike McClure for that look maybe a few weeks ago, turned me on to that. And then I was just like, oh, yeah. And then once you've seen him run, he runs pretty consistently. He should cash this number, even if he only has one actual rushing attempt for the game. Michael, just request to speak, and I'll approve you and bring you on. I don't know why it's not working. I apologize.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. So just two things. First thing is, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. I like Ramondre Stevenson as first touchdown scorer. I feel like it's going to be a running back. It's everything's going to be inside the trenches. And then I think one of my favorite bets is I found a couple weeks ago was over 2.5 turnovers.
I think those are both excellent looks, and I know that Stevenson's only at plus 900 right now, but we'll give it to you, man. If he gets
Thanks,
it, we'll definitely give you that shout out. And I think over 2.5 turnovers is an absolute epic look, because if you want to see if this game gets down and dirty, which it very well could be, over 2.5 turnovers is very likely to cash. And honestly, you can get this probably from either quarterback or either team. Both teams have had epic collapses in terms of their ball security traditionally. So facing two top defenses could put a lot of pressure on there. And by the way, thank you so much for being such an integral part of our show. I know that you haven't been on yet, but you have been consistently listening from the beginning. And I appreciate you, man. And thank you. And if you have any other thoughts, just feel free to take yourself off mute and speak up. Is there anything else, Prince of Picks, that we want to get to before moving? Oh, Drew, yeah. Bring us in. What else you got for football?
Yeah, I just want to say my thoughts on the game. I don't mean to contradict the other guy, but the Seahawks actually, I believe the Seahawks have the second most turnovers in all of football this year, and they turn over the ball a lot. I think they have like 15 interceptions and like 13 fumbles, and that would be the key for the Patriots because Sam Darnold and then they fumble a lot. They can throw interceptions. You just didn't see it that much the first 2 games in the playoffs because the Rams don't have a really good defense at all, and neither the Niners without the people that they have. And then the Patriots only have turned the ball over like 17 times. We saw Drake May fumble the first 2 games like 5 times, but overall, the Patriots have the clear turnover margin battle here. So if the Patriots can, force fumbles and get interceptions, Sam Darnold, because when Sam Darnold plays top 10 defenses, he turns over the ball a lot. Kenneth Walker, and then they fumble a lot. So I like the Patriots here in this case to cover for that reason. Because when you're in when you're in the Super Bowl and there was a high, and Sam Darnold usually relies on a lot of timing stuff, that's where he's susceptible for more interceptions. And the Patriots run a more like Belichick style defense to where they're going to bait you into some throws. While Sam Darnold's timing, when Sam Darnold doesn't have his timing, he panics, he takes a sack, or he will throw an interception.
Yeah, and to your point, Seattle ranks 31st in giveaways per game, averaging 1.5, which is not necessarily what you want to see. Although I will say on the other side, they do also get 1.5 takeaways per game, which ranks 6th in the league. So that's going to be interesting. And like we've said, multiple times over the show, the key to the game for New England is really to get pressure on Sam Darnold. And like you said, knock him off his rhythm. If you make him panic, could very well make many mistakes. He had 4 interceptions in that first game against the Rams, where he was getting used to their schemes for this year. And facing New England for the first time could see very similar problems very, very easily. And that goes into Michael's pick, where you could see over 2.5 turnovers quite easily just from their side. All right. Is there anything else that we want to cover for the Super Bowl before we move on to the NBA trade deadline? And I do want to also mention some MLB signings, which I found very exciting.
Nope, nothing for me. Like I said, I think it's going to be a defensive game. So, again, I'm on the under for sure, just like everyone else here on the panel. I think Patriots keep it close. So I like the Patriots to cover the spread.
Yep. So let me get to my best bet for the day. I put this out a week ago. I checked last night. The price is still there. Seattle Seahawks team total over 19.5, and the Patriots team total under 24.5. So if Seattle scores 20 and Patriots don't score 25, we're going to cash this, which I think is very, very likely. I do not see the Patriots being able to completely stop the ground game from Seattle. I think that they're going to be live to score at least 2 touchdowns, if not 3, and at least 1 or 2 field goals, which should cover the over 19.5 points. And on the other side, I think the Patriots, even if they are competitive, they're going to need to keep this lower scoring. And if they do win, they're probably both going to be in the low 20s or the high teens in terms of an ultimate game score. So I think that them scoring 25 points is a really tall task. And if you're getting this juice at around minus 110, I got this at minus 115 over on MGM. I think that's excellent value. Anybody have any thoughts on there or any other best bets for the game? All right, moving on. Prince of Picks, bring us into the NBA trade deadline. We've had some crazy trades and some non-trades, as Drew alluded to, or didn't even allude to. He mentioned straight up, Giannis is not going anywhere, which I think is probably one of the bigger shocks of this whole trade deadline. Like, wasn't he just tanking for the last few weeks? I don't know if he faked an injury or he had a minor injury, but he hasn't been playing. He's clearly not happy. Are they just waiting for the offseason to offload him for a bigger payout because they didn't get a good enough price? What's going on there, man?
So for me, I always have to question when front offices come out and say that. I'll believe it when I see it. I know there's only a few hours left until the deadline, but again, like we were talking about this a little bit earlier on a previous podcast. It's a lot of posturing and kind of like just saying things just to see if you can raise the value of certain players and kind of gain some more interest. I mean, it's Giannis, right? So you're really not going to be able to raise his value. It is what it is, but. I don't know if it is true and they don't trade him. I don't understand it from a Milwaukee standpoint because if that's the case, you might as well just not play him for the rest of the season because at this point your goal should be to tank, right? Your goal should be looking forward towards the future and trying to get assets to build around him. And the only way you're realistically going to do that is through the draft, right? Milwaukee's not necessarily a destination for free agents, especially if you don't know if Giannis wants to stay there or not. So with so much uncertainty around the franchise, I just question why they wouldn't just trade him now and just start the rebuild. I don't really get what advantage you get from waiting until to the summer. I mean, maybe they're expecting to get more of a grandfather's offer or something in the summer, but you're just kind of you're creating unnecessary drama for the rest of the season because now it's all going to be, is Giannis playing? Why isn't he playing? If he's healthy, why isn't he playing? It's going to be all this circus and pomp and stance around the rest of the season. So I just, from a Milwaukee standpoint, I don't get it. The iron's hot right now. There's been good offers. I've heard of what the Warriors offers have been. It's a pretty good offer. There's other offers have been really good as well for Giannis. So I don't know what more they're really going to expect to get from him, but don't get it. Don't understand it from Milwaukee's standpoint. But in terms of other trades here, we did just have another trade. It was kind of a more of a role player trade, but I really, really like it. Jose Alvarado just got traded to the Knicks. I think that is an outstanding pickup for the Knicks. I really love Jose Alvarado. I love his game. I love his tenacity. He's kind of like a mini Draymond Green, but he can actually shoot. But I love everything about this in terms of what it gives for the Knicks here. It gives them another perimeter defender. And I think it's just it's a really good pickup. I think he's a great fit no matter where he is. He was kind of in no man's land in New Orleans, with New Orleans not really being a relevant team right now. I would keep my eye on Zion Williamson. I've heard some grumblings about him possibly being traded. I just wonder if something happens here with him as well before the trade deadline. But in any case, I really like that for the Knicks. And then as far as other trades go, we did just have something in Phoenix. I'd have to pull it up here, but I believe it was. Sorry, I just saw it.
I just saw it too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Oh my God,
It
who
was
was
like Cole
this?
Anthony and
Yes, Cole
somebody for
Anthony.
Nick Richards. Yeah.
Yep. Those were the two big names, Cole Anthony and Nick Richards. The other ones were kind of irrelevant, but I like that. I like that too. Nick Richards wasn't really getting much action in Phoenix, so Cole Anthony provides him some point guard depth there. Behind Colin Gillespie. I thought Bouyea was kind of playing well for the Suns, but it looks like he's going to get buried back on the bench. And probably they're going to go with Cole Anthony as the backup to Gillespie. But then you wonder when Jalen Green and Devin Booker comes back. I would assume probably Green probably plays at the 3, Booker at the 2 is my guess. And then you go with one of those point guards to start. But yeah, I like that here. Nick Richards, Nigel Hayes-Davis to the Bucks, Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey to the Suns. So giving some Suns a little bit more depth there. I like that one. For more so probably for the Suns. We also had another trade today where the Atlanta Hawks got Gabe Vincent. Lakers get Luke Kennard. I think it's an excellent pickup for the Lakers. Lakers need shooting. Luke Kennard, one of the better shooters in the league. So really like that one for the Lakers. I said they needed to do something. I don't know if that's going to be enough, but it does provide them some shooting on the perimeter, which is something when you're playing with Luka, that's something you need. you need that. So
yeah. That the whole Lakers team, I think I saw this on the Colin Cowherd was talking about it, where the problem isn't the shooting. The problem is their defense. You have 2 of the 3 worst defensive players in the league on your team. The slowest, not the worst. Sorry, the slowest. You have a 41-year-old, and you have Luka. You need people to prop them up on defense, and I don't understand what they're doing there. And they need to get rid of.
Well, you need both, in my opinion, because when you're playing with Luka, Luka is a driving kick guy. So if you can surround him with perimeter shooters, that's never a bad thing. But to your point, they also do need to improve defensively, of course. You're relying on Marcus Smart at his age to be your defensive stalwart. I mean, I think that's a problem. So we'll see if like I said, we still got a few hours left here. We'll see if the Lakers made some more trades, but just this one specifically, when you're talking about getting rid of Gabe Vincent and bringing Luke Kennard, I do think that is an improvement. And I do think Luke Kennard is an improvement over Gabe Vincent. So that particular trade, I like that one for the Lakers. Another trade here we had earlier today, the Wolves and Bulls made a trade. Bulls have been trading everybody, and I mean everybody. And we talked about that earlier in this show. As a Bulls fan here, I love to see it. This is what we've been asking for the last 5 or 6 years. This team has just been consistently mediocre. Play-in champions every single year, and getting swept in the first round of the playoffs. So I'm glad they're finally pushing the eject button on this team. But wow, this is even surprising all of us as Bulls fans here, just how many transactions they have made in just 48 hours. An entirely new roster for the Bulls. They got rid of Ayo Dosunmu. He goes to the Wolves. As well as Julian Phillips, who's just kind of a backup role player. The Bulls got a couple backup players. Basically, for the Bulls here, they're stockpiling draft picks. They got 4 second-round picks just in this trade alone. They've gotten second-round picks in other trades that they've made previously. So the Bulls are really, in my opinion, if you're going to blow up your team, I think the Bulls are doing it the right way. You get young assets, you get expiring contracts, and you get draft picks. And that's exactly what the Bulls are doing. So I really like, for once, I like what the Bulls are doing in this trade deadline. I think they're doing it the right way. They're going to have a ton of cap space this summer to maybe sign one of these big name free agents. We have some draft picks to go along with it, and get this rebuild going, and maybe get the Bulls back to the level that they should be. What else here? As I'm looking here,
Yeah, maybe
Matt.
the third time's the charm.
Maybe the third time's the charm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's since the Derrick Rose era, this team has just been the absolute definition of mediocre. So hopefully things are going to be on the up and up here going forward for the Bulls. They did sign just kind of a fun little tidbit here. Slam dunk champion Mac McClung, he's back. It seems like he comes and goes about 5 times a season on some NBA teams. He's signed a 2-week contract with the Bulls. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him tonight. He might be in the rotation. In fact, I probably would guarantee you he will be in the rotation just because of how depleted they are tonight. So Bulls signing him. They also made another trade, did the Chicago Bulls. They got Gershon Yabusele, who, of course, if those of you who watched the Olympics in 2024, he was one of the key players of the French national team. And that's kind of what's kind of started his NBA career, or I would say kind of revived it. And so he's been around a couple teams, but he goes to the Bulls now. And the Bulls get rid of their draft pick, Dalen Terry, from a couple of years ago. He goes over to the Knicks. As we're looking here, some of the trades, some lower level trades. Trace Jackson Davis, of course, traded from the Warriors. They get a second round pick for him. So the Warriors do lose some depth from that. But after getting Kristaps Porzingis, they probably didn't really have a position for him anyway. So I think that's addition by subtraction there. And then here, other than that, like I said, we got a few more hours left in the trade deadline. So we'll see if anything else major happens here down the stretch. A lot of times you'll see a flurry of trades happen within the last hour. So stay tuned. Let's see what happens here. 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe, is the trade deadline.
Yeah, excellent. And NBA is not the only sport that is having its crazy trades and signings. Just to bring it into the MLB real quick, although I guess we should have maybe feature this in tomorrow's podcast. I just saw Framber Valdez going to the Tigers, and my jaw dropped. I mean, that's just going to be. I mean, you're already bulking an elite rotation with one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. I think it's just an incredible shift in their mentality. They're just going for it. They have the talent, they have the roster, they have the bats. They're really it really feels like they're going all in to try to make a World Series push here. Do you have any thoughts?
I don't think Scoop will staying.
I really hope he is. I mean, I kind of hope he's not, because I love him on the Yankees, but gosh, if the Dodgers got him, I just want him to stay put in Detroit right now.
So the Tigers are trying to arbitrate him, but Scoople's getting pissed. He doesn't like it.
Oh, yeah, I did hear some bad rumors on there. So maybe they're hedging their bets there as well. And speaking of other pitchers, right? Dylan Cease is on the Blue Jays. I'm going to be interested to see if he could turn his fortunes around there. He was a little bit shaky this past year. So looking over there, I think it's a good look. And Ranger Suarez,
I think it's better for him.
Yeah, I think so. It's a new place, and
there's too much pressure on the Padres. Like, nothing against the Padres franchise, but there's too much pressure there.
No, you're in the same division as the Dodgers. How are you supposed to compete with that?
Yeah, and Blue Jays are a really good organization. A good. I'm not saying the Padres aren't, but when you go there, you feel the hospitality. From what I've heard.
Yeah, I've been to Toronto. I've been to Blue Jays games. My uncles and cousins live over there, and I only have good things to say about the city. I think that the Blue Jays had one of the more surprising pushes this year. I'm going to be interested to see if they can keep it in one of the most competitive divisions in all of baseball. You have the Red Sox, who are no slouches themselves. You have the Yankees, right? The Rays shockingly fell off, but they've been really good for a while. The Orioles have a ton of talent. That's young. So I think they're the most stacked division in baseball. I'm not saying they're the best necessarily, but I think that they're the most stacked. And then the other major signings were Pete Alonso leaving the Mets. That was surprising to me. I guess they're just going all in on Juan Soto, but they did bring in Bo Bichette to kind of shore up that middle infield. Cody Bellinger, we've talked about staying on the Yankees. Alex Bregman going to the Cubs and Kyle Tucker going to the Dodgers. This signings this year have been incredible, and I feel like last year there was no movement, and this year we have all movement. But anyway, that was it. Those are the signings that I kind of wanted to bring up. You know, Kyle Schwarber staying with the Phillies, no shocker there. I'm here in Philly. I'm a New York fan, but they love him here, and he loves it here. So the only other place that he would be comfortable is going back to Chicago. But anyway, that's it for me. If anybody wants to come on, we want to bring in our best bets from the day and close us out. Prince of Picks, what do we got?
Yeah, so real quick, just to recap my two basketball plays for tonight. We're going to be on the Raptors -8.5, and then the Suns -5.5. Drew, did you want to recap your plays real quick?
Yeah, for sure. I would say the one I have right now is Michigan -24.5, or I believe it's -110 against Penn State at home.
Awesome. And then Stern, did you have any final plays for us here before I close this up?
Yeah, I had Seattle over 19.5 points, parlayed with the Patriots under 24.5 points. I also took Holani over 2.5 receptions at -136. Sam Darnold over 2.5 rushing attempts at +112 or 113. I'll have to look at that real quick. And then my play on the ice, which is my primary play for today, we have the Penguins Sabres over 6.5 at -114 over on FanDuel.
Alrighty, sounds good. Great picks all around. Appreciate everyone's input here. Great show we had for you guys today. We think.
Sorry.
Yes,
One more.
sir.
I also had the under 22.5 in the first half of Seattle Patriots. Sorry about that.
Yep, got it. Okay, cool. We'll be all over all those plays for sure. So again, yep, great show again today. We'd like to thank Pro Football Picks for jumping on and giving us his excellent NFL analysis. Really broke it down well for us, and definitely excited to tell all of his analysis and his plays. But for today, that's going to do it for us, guys. For my co-host Stern Bets, my co-host Drew DeLucci, we appreciate everything you guys have done for us. Real quick before we get on our way out of here, give us a real quick rate, review, and subscribe over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, we will see you all soon. Thanks, everyone.